Am I lazy, depressed, or just burnt out? I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I think there's a couple of things going on. And don't worry, I'll get into what laziness is, what depression is, and what burnt out is, what being burnt out really means, because people use that word a lot. But lately, so let me give you an example. The other day, I set the alarm for early for me, okay? I understand people get up early. This is early for me. I set it for 8 a.m. and I was like, you know what, Katie, I'm going to get up early. You're going to get so much stuff done. You've been sleeping in too much. Shit talk myself a little bit. You've been sleeping too much, you're being so lazy. You're not getting everything you need to get done every day. Blah, blah, blah. Set the alarm. It's going to be a great day. Try to positive affirmation myself out of that spiral. I go to bed. 8 a.m. rolls around. Alarm goes off. I am so tired. I'm like, there's no way. By the way, I gave myself plenty of time to sleep. And I went back to sleep. I woke up at 9, which is usually when I get up, by the way. And I immediately am like, you're so lazy. I don't know why you're doing this. This is such a shitty, why do you have to sleep in so much? You're so bad. You're not working enough. Blah, 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 blah. Right? We've all had those kind of like spiral moments. And then I was sitting at my desk because I've been doing the Artist's Way. It's this workbook I'm doing with a friend of mine. And every morning you have to journal. You guys know how much I love journaling. It's also really hard. But every morning you have to journal 3 pages. And as I was writing, I was like, am I just lazy? Is that what it is? And I started, it's sometimes helpful, just FYI, to pose questions to yourself in your journal as you're writing, because surprise, surprise, the answers will come. Because immediately I was like, no, I would not define myself as lazy. I do work plenty. I just don't do early mornings. That's just not who I am. And then I went down this rabbit hole of like, you know what? I don't know why our society says that getting up early is such like a, look at me, I'm doing so much. You should be jealous. I'm so productive, blah, blah, blah. Like, why is that the thing to strive for? What about striving to work with, not against your body, right? I talk about this all the time when it comes to mental illness, especially when it comes to things like ADHD, or if we're autistic, we have to work with, not against our brains. Nothing's wrong with us. We just work differently, right? I'm not a morning person. Why am I fighting against myself? And so I tried to stop myself in my tracks from spiraling out of this laziness, because that didn't ring true for me. When I was journaling this out, I'm not lazy. And so don't worry, I did some research. I looked up it's the definition. And to be lazy means that we are unwilling to work or do any activities. And I think the key word there is unwilling, right? Not I'm unable. And I think that's a big differentiator. And I want you to remember that. So next time you're maybe like me and you start talking trash to yourself about all the things you should have been doing and how come I can't do this, consider your state. Consider how you're doing. Are you unwilling or are you unable? And in my case, when it comes to being a morning person, I am unable. I have tried it over and over again. It's not that I'm unwilling. I set an alarm. I try to go to bed early. I do all the things to set myself up for success. And then the alarm goes off. And even if I get up, because I've done that, I don't think clearly until later. So I can't even get any work. It's almost like a waste. It's an effort and futility, right? I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? So that's laziness. Then my next question to myself was, well, maybe I'm depressed, right? I think maybe it's the curse of being a mental health professional, or maybe just because we're talking about things more, I consider things. I have to be honest, I'm not perfect. Just because I'm a licensed therapist doesn't mean I won't have a mental illness or couldn't struggle with my mental health from time to time. I'm still human, right? We're in this world. Things are happening. Life is chaos. It feels very crazy sometimes, right? So I pose that in my journal. Maybe I'm depressed. And then I thought about it. And I was like, well, are you enjoying the things that you used to enjoy? You got to check in with yourself. Yeah, I still am. I've been learning Spanish on Duolingo, and I love it. So I've been doing things that I like. Sean and I went into like downtown Austin, went out for good food and drinks. We had a really good time. Those are things I love doing. I still enjoy doing it. And so I checked in on that, and I'm like, am I sleeping well? Yeah, I'm sleeping fine. Has my appetite changed? No. Do I still feel motivated? Yeah, I do. Can I concentrate as long as I'm not up early, right? So I ran through these kinds of, and this is all in my journal, so I don't think I'm depressed. So if you're thinking, okay, well, I don't think I'm lazy either. Well, maybe I'm depressed. Have any of those things rung true for you? Have you been feeling like you can't concentrate, or are you not enjoying the things you used to enjoy? Do you feel down most days? Pay attention to that. Again, that's not laziness, right? That's not unwilling. If we're depressed, that means we're unable. For people who think we can just like white knuckle our way through mental illness and like, oh, if you're depressed, just like, smile. Like, I don't know, like put yourself out there, like fight back against it. Those people don't understand what depression is. You're not unwilling. You're unable. And it's important to understand that. And then the third question, am I just burnt out? And I don't say just to minimize. I say just like, it's not those, is it this, right? Okay, I've weeded out those two. Okay, burnout. I did a whole series on this years ago, and so I know a lot about it. And burnout occurs, if you did not know, when the reward we get for what we do, right? The labor that we do in life. And I say labor not to mean just work at an office. I mean labor, things we do at home. If you're a stay-at-home parent, that is labor. That's a lot of work. You work more hours than anybody else, right? You're never off unless you go on vacation, right? Or get a babysitter. So what kind of labor am I putting into my life? And am I getting enough reward for it? Is it at least commensurate with the effort that I'm putting in? And I had to think about it. And this took me longer, and I don't fully have an answer yet because I suspect that this might be where my problem lies, is that I'm feeling a little burnt out. But I don't know if it's really from the work that I'm doing here or if it's just the fact that my life is busy and I have overcommitted across the board to things. Because if you didn't know, Sean and I were so fortunate enough to purchase a home and we moved to a new city. That's a stressor. I experienced that. I don't have my friends around as much as I did in Santa Monica. That's a stressor, right? My connection's down. So my resilience, right? I'm doing my best. I'm putting myself out there. We have a construction project going on in our backyard. Stress, extra to-dos, calls that have to be made, things that have to be scheduled. It's a lot. And I don't know if my rewards in life, and reward, by the way, I think a lot of people consider, it's financial. Reward's a lot of things. Reward can be connection with people. It can be impact. Like I find what I do online incredibly rewarding, and that's because of each and every one of you, because I get to hear your stories. I get to see your progress, and oh God, that's such a good feeling. That's rewarding over and over again. But there's other things going on in my life, right? I'm still looking for a good therapist. I have a consultation this afternoon. Let's pray it goes well and she's not weird and we're a good fit, or maybe I'm weird and they're normal, whatever. So notice that in yourself too. Are you finding yourself irritable a lot? That's one of the key symptoms of burnout. And it, just so you know, and this is kind of the complicated part of burnout, is that when it goes untreated, which for most of us, in order to be burnout, we're not getting it treated for quite a little while, right? But it mimics symptoms of depression and anxiety and can actually lead to those mental illnesses if we don't treat it for long enough, or like for an extra long amount of time is what I mean. And so it's kind of complicated, right? And I think that's why I'm like, I don't know if I really have the answer yet, but I checked in, right? Am I depressed? No. So it hasn't gotten to that point for me, but check in with yourself. I am a little irritable. I do find when someone asks me to do extra tasks, it's a little, ugh. But you know what I learned in my morning pages? That it's actually has nothing to do with my work. It has to do with stuff at the house. And so I think the combination of the two has made home stuff more than it used to be, and I am not getting the reward out of it. And so that's kind of my homework for myself. What do I find rewarding? How can I offer that back to myself? How can I give myself that breath in, right? For all that breath out, all that energy out that I'm putting into it. And I think it's just important overall. I want you to consider how you're doing. When you wonder about these things, don't just take to the internet and Google it. I mean, that's helpful, and I do that stuff too. But also check in with yourself, because I find the more I pose those questions in my morning pages, in my journal, am I lazy? Am I depressed? Do I just suck at life, right? I ask myself all sorts of weird and nasty questions because that's the conversation going on in my head. But if I take a minute to pose those and actually let inside me speak, she tells the truth. She's honest. I also think it helps that I don't read these journals back and I don't share them with anybody. And I know they probably don't make any sense and they're filled with spelling mistakes, but that doesn't matter. What matters is I was able to hear myself. I was able to listen to myself, to get answers for the things that maybe keep me up at night or stress me out or make me feel overwhelmed. And so check in. How are you doing? Did any of that resonate with you? Is there any of that you're like, I think that might be it? At least then we have a name for it. And then we know what we're going to try to work on, right? If I'm feeling depressed, I might need to seek out therapy or a psychiatrist for medication. I might also want to do some, behavioral activation, get myself doing things I used to love because over time it will make me feel better. In my case, in burnout, I need to figure out what my reward is. I need to find more time for that so I can give that back to myself. Or am I feeling lazy? Am I unwilling? And where's that coming from? I find laziness and unwillingness is usually like a defense mechanism. It's like that stubborn part of us. It's like, I will not. No. But why? Are you feeling pressured to do things you don't want to do? Why don't you want to do those things? Are they not fulfilling? Are they not enjoyable? Or is it the person who's trying to get you to do them? Where is it coming from? Are we trying to be more independent and we're a teenager and God damn it, we don't want to do that? Think about it. Ask yourself those questions instead of judging. I'm telling, this is more for me than for you. And Katie, instead of judging yourself, how about you pose some questions and you get some answers? Because they're all there. We have all our answers. We just have to take the time to listen. Thank you for listening to me. I hope that was helpful. It's just a little pop in on what's going on in my head. Welcome to my chaos. But I love you all. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time.